Caroline Mills. Welcome to this module on defining and building a change strategy.
So the change approach, or perhaps in the past it's been called a change strategy, and some people still might use a change strategy if they're doing something big, complex and long term, although organisations tend to sort of chunk down and do sort of shorter, more agile changes are really sort of that real trend in the market at the moment. But the idea behind doing this change approach, let's call it a change approach, is actually to articulate what it is you're doing, how you're going to approach the change, how you're going to engage stakeholders, how you might approach your training, what are the benefits of doing this particular change, and how do you ensure that kind of sustainability in terms of actually doing the change. So in terms of the actual template itself, we've done it in Word and think that's an easy way to effectively do this. And this is kind of the crux document for me that really gets you actually sitting down as a practitioner, and you might do this with a team if you've got a team, and really articulating what it is you're doing. Now, if you're working in an agile environment, I'd still recommend that you do this. Now, you may do this in a Word document, or you might have something much more visual and shorter up on a wall, but the idea behind doing this, even if it's a short document as opposed to a longer document for a complex change, is actually to get you to really think about. So again, that change vision. So first of all, sort of the background to the change, the to-be state in terms of where you're going, that kind of governance structure. So how are you going to govern the change? How regularly is the change team going to meet? How does that integrate with the project team? How often are you meeting with the sponsor? How are you doing your change readiness? So all of those ways that you're looking at the governance, the steering committees, all those types of things, your status reporting. In terms of sort of your assessment, so giving a bit of a sense, a brief sort of overview of what that input assessment looks like at the high level, your change readiness assessment, looking at your people risks. You might be looking at assumptions and dependencies in here, and then kind of getting into the crux of how are you going to manage the stakeholders. So you might have your stakeholder engagement plan information here, your key stakeholders and how you're going to manage them, your communications approach, so what you might be doing in terms of principles around how you communicate some of those key messages, the channels that you might use, and your learning approach in terms of how you might be doing the learning piece. So what particular sort of learning interventions you're going to do, how do you do that, what sort of tools are you going to use, etc. And then how you're going to measure the benefits of the change in terms of making sure that you're actually, doing change that actually has an impact. And finally, sort of looking at that handover and sustainability piece, right? So it's a really good document in terms of sort of that articulation, and you're effectively doing that once you're into the change a little bit more. So you sort of pass this defining the change piece, you actually know a bit more about the change, and you're saying, right, this is how we're going to approach it. Now, you could actually, if your change wasn't too complex, you wouldn't have to do a separate stakeholder document and a separate communications plan. You might actually use this change approach to actually articulate all of that stuff, and then just have a list. It might be an Excel list, but effectively a plan of the activities that you're executing. So then this document becomes kind of your all-encompassing document as to how you're actually doing the change. And again, I really recommend you do this document to just really articulate the approach that you're doing, and you would typically involve other people. So you again, and you'll see that you throughout these kind of conversations I'm having with you, I'll be really encouraging you as much as possible to talk and engage people, because doing these documents by yourself over in a corner and not engaging people is just really wasting an opportunity where you could go and be talking to people and getting them to help you do the documents with you, and therefore taking them through the change by doing that. So as much as possible, I encourage you to do these documents in a collaborative way, and just referencing the agile piece. I think just be careful. Agile is not an excuse to not do change management well. So you might not have as complex a piece because you're just doing, your agile piece and sprints and stuff like that. But I think still standing back from those sprints and still standing back and actually going, what is it we're doing? How are we going to do it? How are we engaging stakeholders? How are we going to govern how we do things? How are we going to measure that we're successful? Those are really solid things to do, whether you're using waterfall, agile, doing organizational change or project change. I think there's a really solid approach to doing things.